Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, which is a demo of BVR's BVResearch Pro platform. My name is Andy DeZamba, and I'm the executive editor here at BVR. And I'm going to take you through the demo. And joining me is Michael Eliska, a business valuation practitioner, who I'll introduce in a moment. Well, to give you an idea just who we are, I'm the, as I mentioned, I'm the editor here at BVR. And what I do here is I write and edit content on business valuation. You might see the weekly BV Wire, which is a free e-zine. I work on that. I work on the monthly business valuation update newsletter. I also work on books and special reports. So I'm a very heavy user of BVResearch Pro as part of my work here. And I've been in publishing for about 30 years. And before that, I was 20 years in television and film and finance and production. And also, just to note, I am not a credentialed business valuation expert, although I've taken the core ASA classes and I think barely passed them. And I also attend all of the BV conferences and working on all of the material and books for the last 8 or 9 years. I've learned a little bit about this profession and the methodology. And joining me today is Michael Eliska, who is a CPA ABV and has got over 15 years of valuation experience. He's done over 500 appraisals and has testified as an expert witness. He also lectures on BV and other financial matters. Welcome, Michael, and maybe what you could do is tell us a little bit more about yourself and your practice.
Thank you, Andy. I am located here in Portland, Oregon, which also happens to be the headquarters for BVR. I started my career in public accounting, studying studying accounting and finance in Portland, and went on to work for a mid-size accounting firm doing audit, tax, and later learned about business valuation and decided that that was really the long-term direction I wanted to head. And I moved to a larger firm, West Coast-based accounting firm, and exclusively worked in business valuation there. And I have accumulated experience of about 11 years working between the two firms, and ultimately decided that I wanted to work in more diverse valuation matters. I was primarily focused in gift and estate work. And so I ultimately decided to start my own firm here locally, and I'm more of a generalist today. About 1/3 of my work is in litigation support, 1/3 is for financial statement reporting, and then about 1/3 is in merger and acquisition work.
Oh, great. What areas of practice are you in? Do you do marital, state tax?
In terms of the litigation work, it is generally it's either family law, okay, or it'll be for dissenting shareholder cases.
Okay.
I'd say 70% is marital dissolution.
Okay. Well, terrific. Okay. Well, thanks for being with us, Michael. And here's a look at our agenda. We're just going to do a very quick example of the platform based upon a call I got from a valuation expert a little while ago. And then we're going to get into what is the platform, why did we come up with it, what's in it, cost, of course, and then we're going to get into the search capabilities of it, which is really its big strength. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing my screen and going to just kind of take you through this. And Michael, please interject with questions. You can watch out for questions from the audience. Or if you have a question of what I'm going through, please interrupt or add your own insights to that. So essentially, what happened about a year ago is I got a call from one of our customers, and she was in a kind of a small valuation firm in New York, and they all of a sudden had to do a valuation of a law firm, and she calls me and says, "What do you have on law firm valuations?" And I said, "Well, I know we have at least a special report on it, but I'm not really sure." So I went into our main, now this is our main BVR website. And so what you can do is search. So I went in and I just typed in law firm. And what I got was a bunch of results. I got a huge amount of results. And if you go down to the bottom, 825 results. This is just off our main website. This is not the BVResearch platform. So I got a bunch of articles, blog items. There's a court case there you can see. And then there's a special report. Okay, what's it worth law firm value? So I pulled that up. And okay, it's 150 pages, pretty detailed. It's $199. Okay, so there's that. And so I was able to at least, get some things together. But while I was doing this, I said, well, we had just put up the BVResearch Pro platform. And I said, well, also, as you see, when you are pulling these things up, they have a cost attached to them, whether it's a book or even the blogs are free. But here's a legal case. And okay, it's again, I have to, buy it. It's for sale unless you're a subscriber. So anyway, what I did also is I said, well, let me look at
Andy, I've got a question.
Yeah,
Andy,
sure.
Before we go any further.
Yeah.
What is the difference between the tool, this research tool that we have today versus what we had several years ago? I've been using BVR since the beginning of my career, and I do know that there's some differences between the two.
Yeah, well, we had an older search tool called BVResearch. It just was not, it was not very robust. It did not, it wasn't very comprehensive. So we decided to bolster it. So that's why this is called BVResearch Pro. It's just another version of it. It's a lot more comprehensive, as you'll see. And we also wanted to create more of a package deal because essentially it's a package of our various pieces of content that you can buy on an a la carte basis or through BVResearch Pro, which is more like a buffet. Okay, so it's all you can eat. So that's kind of why we did it. And the earlier version is almost kind of like this, where you're seeing kind of a lot of things, and maybe I got to buy it, maybe I don't. The advanced search capabilities were kind of limited, and it just wasn't. And again, I use it a lot, so it just wasn't doing anything for me either. So that's kind of why we went this way. So what I did was, well, for this customer. So then I went into the BVResearch platform, which you can do in one of two ways. So I'll go back to the main page, which probably a lot of people will start at. So you can go in by clicking on your My BVR icon. So I don't think I'm logged in. So it'll bring me to my login page. And so I'll go in that way. And it shows me all my subscriptions. Wow, I bought a lot of stuff here. And so you can get to it here. Okay, so that's one way to get to it. And this will bring me to, please don't call my cell phone. You can see that. I'm just kidding. So this will bring me to the main BVResearch Pro homepage. Let me just show you the other way to get in. So that's one way to get in. The other way would be if you're on, now I'm back into the BVR main page. So you can go into this news and research area, and then you can find BVResearch Pro there as well. which I normally do because I'm already signed in automatically or something like that. So what this does, well, anyway, let me get back to, this reader called, and then we'll get into the weeds of what's in here. So again, I did a search, and a little slow here. Anyway, so I did another. So now I'm in the BVResearch Pro platform. So I did the same search, and I did law firm, and I did. So I pulled up. Now I'm logged in. So I pulled up the special report. Here's some cases. There's a yearbook. There must have been an article about it in there. But anyway, I'm getting more things. So when I pull up a special report like this, I don't have to buy it. It's included in the package. So as you can see from the download, I can go right into it. So it downloads it for me, and I have it. And so I was able to give this person, and then from the, and we'll get into this more shortly. I looked up some webinars that we might have had. So I found, I think, a number of webinars. Yeah, here's a webinar on law firms. Here's Valuing Law Firms from 2011, 2015. These are transcripts. So these would be like a 25-page transcript of a live 100-minute webinar. So anyway, long story short, I was able to give her at least 6 or 8 resources, from books to transcripts to articles, cases, to help her with her evaluation. Now, again, this was a new platform, and I really didn't know much about it. But as you can see, just by scratching the surface, you'll get a tremendous amount of material from it. So that was just kind of a real eye opener for me once we had put this up. So let's go back to the home page. And so when you come into BVResearch Pro, you, and we'll get there in a second. I don't know why I'm a little slow. But anyway, you'll come to the home page, and what it will do for you is it has some featured content, and these things will change periodically. It's got a featured article here. It's got one of our latest books here, the Divorce Law Compendium. And it also has down here a section of news, so you can get updated on latest news. So if you click on one of these, let's say the first one there, you'll see, oh, this was just from yesterday. Okay, so from our BV Wire yesterday, here's some news on ESETs. Now, if you want to drill down more, you can see the full issue. So this will keep you up to date on news. This was in that issue. Bunch of ESOP pieces of news lately. Here's some COVID-19. This had to do with some coverage of a webinar we had. So you can drill down and catch up with the news.
Andy, do you have any idea how often new content is added?
New content is added minimum every week. At minimum, sometimes it's multiple times a week. In the news section, the weekly e-zines, and we have 2 of them. We have one U.S. based, and we have one for United Kingdom based. So the U.S. based one is weekly. So all of that gets in here. All of our blog entries get in here weekly, and so it's a minimum monthly or minimum weekly. Okay. So every day you could see something, but if we release, let's say, a new book or a case comes out, that will be put in. So it's constantly updated, minimum every week. So you can catch up on your news legal research. This comes out of our BV Law area. Here's the BV Law News, which is a separate publication that goes out from our legal editor, Sylvia Golden. She does tremendous work in doing legal coverage of BV-related cases. So you can catch up on what's going on in the legal arena. This third section over here is books, reports, and would also include webinar transcripts. So it would have whatever has come out in the recent past. This first item, I think, was a webinar we did. This one was here. This is a recording of our town hall event that we had April 7th on COVID-19 impacts on valuation. So, and again, all of this is accessible. So that's an article. Here's a briefing we did recently. These are, I think, 35 or 50 pages.
And Andy,
yeah.
On the webinars, what kind of access do you get to the webinar information?
Well,
how much does it differ from if you have full webinar access versus going through this
what you get,
option?
Yeah. Well, what you get, you'll get a transcript. You do not get the recording. So what I would get, so here's the one from April 7. You would get, if I clicked on this download, I would get a transcript. So it's a full written transcript of the webinar. So that's what you would get. You would not get, unless you were a subscriber to our BV, and you get the slides as well. So you would get what they call a training pack, which is the slides and the transcript. If you happen to be a subscriber to our webinars, which is through our Passport program, you could actually go back and listen to the recording itself. But what you get here, if you're a BVResearch Pro subscriber, is simply the transcript, which then once you download, which I've done very often, is I downloaded it and then I got to search for something, and then you can search through that. So it was always, I don't think I ever went back and listened to a full program. If I was looking for something specific, like in this one, if I happen to be, let's say, gee, what did they talk about in terms of cost of capital, then I would download the transcript, search that under cost of capital, see what they talked about.
Admittedly, Andy, I do the same thing because it's much more efficient to get to the exact content that I need rather than listening.
Right, because it's a lot faster, obviously, to search the text for what you need. So that's what you get. So anyway, this is the home page, and again, all this material is included. Maybe it would help if I also go to the main page here to kind of show you just a quick overview of what's included in the platform. So we had a lot of individuals who were either a subscriber to Business Valuation Update or BV Law or Digital Library. Digital Library is our collection of BVR imprint guides and special reports. So hardbound books that we publish would be part of that, as well as special reports. It would not include third-party titles. For instance, we carry the Wiley titles, we carry AICPA titles, McGraw-Hill from other publishers, and that would not be included in Digital Library. But anyway, we had subscribers who were this. We had people who had access to webinar transcripts. And so we decided, as you could see, we had a lot of people who then upgraded from either an individual subscription or they had the digital library, which now I'm not in the marketing department, so I can't speak to the price structures. But anyway, $14.25 with digital library. So the BVResearch Pro was priced at $15.95. So for another $170, you went from getting 80 books and guides to a full subscription and archive of the newsletter, all of the BV Law material, which is now well over 4,000 cases, full opinions and digests. You get all of the webinar transcripts that go back, in time. Now it's well over 700. And also we have third-party articles and partner publications. We have the ASA's Business Valuation Review, which, if any of you are not ASA members, the ASA is the American Society of Appraisers. The Business Valuation Review is there, and I'll show it to you later when we get into the details. That's their peer-reviewed journal, and we have that. We have the full archive of that going back to 1982, if you can believe it, on there. And that's a quarterly, and we have the prior quarters. In other words, we get it after 3 months. So we would have the prior quarters in there as the current one. But anyway, that's just a very quick overview of what's in there. And again, we wanted to create some kind of a more cost-effective package. So a lot of individuals upgraded from the digital library or 1 or 2 subscriptions up to the BVResearch Pro platform.
And Andy, it's my understanding that the ASA content, that's relatively new, isn't it?
That's real. Yes, we just negotiated that with the ASA, very luckily, within the past year. So that's just been added. And when we get into the more details, there's a few other partner publications we have in there as well. So let's go back into we'll get now into more of kind of the weeds of what's actually included. I'm a little slow here, so there we go. So now what I do mostly is I do searches. So if you simply went in here, and I can just show you what's in here in total, if I just do a blank search, right, just with a blank keyword, I'm going to get everything in the world that's in here. And if you go down here, you'll see over 19,000 results, meaning 19,000 pieces of material, everything from a hardbound book to a special report, to an article, to a blog post, etc. So it's everything. And you can, pull it up by newest. This is chronological. So this shows, if you just wanted to see, for instance, gee, what have they loaded in there in the past this month? You can just, these are chronological. So this is the newest stuff on top. So these are articles from the May issue of Business Valuation Update, which happened to be pretty much devoted to COVID-19. So you can see there are a number of articles in here. For instance, this first one, this is from Bob Morrison and his colleagues at his firm, going through a little case study on how they are dealing with the COVID-19 for December 31 valuations. Has a timeline in here that their firm used. So, and again, as you go through this, it's articles. Okay, so May 2020, fine. More from Business Valuation Update, which just came out. Then we have some news items. As again, you can see it's pretty much dominated by the virus. Here's a little news item. Irs is looking for business valuation experts. Actually, a job posting. No, but our friends at the IRS asked us to put this on there. They're actually looking for experienced business evaluators for about 6 positions, I think they have. So anyway, so it kind of lists everything that's here. Okay, May 6, news. Here's our BVR UK edition. So this is just kind of a laundry list of what's in there. And again, everything. So what specifically is in here would be, and these are what they call our article collections. We just got a question on if I already subscribe to BV Law and want to upgrade, is there some price break in the initial BVResearch Pro subscription? And the answer is yes. They will do some prorating based upon your current subscriptions and apply it to the subscription to this platform. Contact your salesperson. And in the last slide on the deck, we've got some contact information. But the answer is yes, there is a break. Thanks for that question. Anyway, so this is kind of details of our different article collections we have in there. Business Evaluation Update is our main monthly newsletter. This goes back to 1995, Shannon Pratt's days. He began that newsletter. So if I just happen to click on it, I'll just do articles. And let's say, okay, how old is this? We'll go back to the beginning, and I pull up all of the material, the articles from Business Evaluation Update. I see this goes back to 1995. View from the desk, court bench. So this is not only fun reading, but there's a lot of good stuff in here too, which is quite evergreen. I mean, expert testimony, etc. So this is just what's in each of those issues going back. Now, if you want to, again, drill down, you can look at Volume 1, Number 1, and you'll see the full issue, October 1995. Here it is. So you can click on each of these and look at the whole, or you can download the full issue if you want in a PDF. So this was the Volume 1, Number 1, Shannon Pratt's Business Evaluation Update. Dr. Pratt trying to access the Edgar database. Again, legal and court updates, etc. So it goes back that far. And again, and we'll get into more search details later, but within there you can search. But for now, we're just kind of going through what's there. So that's our monthly newsletter. Comes out. Full archive is there. Our next section, which is BV Law, again, has over 4,000 cases. So if I clicked on full text of court cases and did a search, I think I'm going to come up with something a little. Well, 1925. Okay, see, you've got some old cases for reference purposes, but just doing it by newest. It'll bring you just the newest cases that, the more recent cases that have been in there. And again, this is full text of cases. So I think if you looked at the total, it's over 4,000 in there. Again, we'll get into the weeds of the searches later, but we also have court case digests in there, which are kind of summaries. Again, Sylvia Golden, our legal editor, prepares those. Those are summaries and analyses of the court cases as opposed to the full opinion. So this one, for example, would be her write-up and analysis of the case. But you can also get to the full opinion from there. If you just clicked on here, you would get the full opinion. So that's if I'm going too fast on these screens, please let me know. So that's BV Law. This section here contains a number of collections that we have. This one here is training event transcripts. Those are the transcripts of the webinars. So if I clicked on newest, then I would pull up all of the newest transcripts. There was this, there was the one from April. There was a Mike Gregory webinar on Irs Matters. It was a roundup of Delaware cases. So March. So these are all our recent webinars. So again, it's just the transcripts. So we also have this is the ASA's Business Valuation Review. So if you pull that up and just search newest, you would get, okay, so the winter 2019 edition, all of the individual articles. Then we have spring. Their publication has been a little spaced out a little bit, but again, it's by article, and if you click on them, what you'll get is a download, a PDF of that. So again, it's the full archive back to 1982. We also just recently got this collection, which is the Chartered Business Valuators Institute, the CBV Institute in Canada. This is the evaluation standard setter of Canada. So this goes back to 2005. This is the latest edition, called the 2019 edition. This is a journal that comes from them. You can download the full issue. You see a table of contents. And these are some of the authors. So that's available too as well. And we're constantly adding to the collection of partner product, third parties, etc. The BV Wire is our weekly e-zine that we do. We have a US-based one, which is weekly, and a UK one, which is twice a month. So that you could pull up the latest ones there. BV Wire from May 6th comes out every Wednesday. BV Wire UK comes out again twice a month. If you wanted to go into the latest issue of that from this past Tuesday, there's a full table of contents. You can pick each individual article or look at the full issue, and again search with it. So that's our BV Wire. Now our digital library, this is our collection of about 85 titles of books and special reports. So again, by most recent, we've got this BVR briefing. Here's a special one of our series of what's it worth guides, residential and commercial construction companies. Here's a book on using Excel. Every year we put out a yearbook, which is a compilation of our newsletter. We also have our case law book, another briefing. That's part of our ASA material. I must have had that checked. Yes, sorry about that. Also, all of our BVR imprint hardbound books would be in here. So here's the BVR. That's a study, another case book. Here's our probably the best book on its topic, The Comprehensive Guide to Economic Damages, 5th edition. This is the 2-volume set, which you get as well. So anything with our imprint is included in here. So if you go to our books and guides section and see a hardbound book that's a BVR imprint, it's all included in here. More what's it worth guides, business valuation bench book, etc. So this section is our books and guides. So that's an overview of the article collections that are in there. So now why don't we take a look at, Michael, unless you have any questions.
Yeah, I was curious about the Irs Materials under the BV Law section. What exactly, what kind of information do you have published there?
Let's see. Again, a lot of this I have not used yet. Recommendation, valuation training. This is some kind of archival documents from the IRS, some Treasury regulations, discussion memoranda, Rule 142, some rev procs, field service advices, some technical advice memoranda having to do with valuation issues. So that's what's there. And again, those would show up in searches as you go through that. Some sections, about 37 pieces there.
And now you're not necessarily advising us to search by the specific collections, but you're more walking us through what's available in the search function. Is that correct?
Right. Someone asked, what's in valuation reports? Valuation reports would be, from time to time, we will get actual copies of valuation reports. They're kind of few and far between, but we do have some. These were either made publicly available or available to us by the parties. They are actual valuation reports. They go back a number of years. We don't have many of them. In fact, we're actually working on a project to kind of get more of these, either in full form or redacted form. But that's what they are. They're actual valuation reports. If I clicked on one, you'll get a download of a PDF of it. Okay. So that's in that. But again, with all of these collections, we're constantly looking for more material and adding material into the platform. So why don't we talk about doing some basic searching. So your very basic search, okay, so when you're on the main platform, is to just put in a term. Okay, so let's say, for example, I put in minority discount. And I do a search, just a plain search, just like that. Well, I'm going to get a lot of material. Again, it's by newest. I can do relevance. Okay, so it'll pull up probably something in the title. It's giving me reports. Okay. BVR's Guide to Discounts and Marketability, etc. So it's giving me a huge amount of material, almost 2,400 results. Well, you're doing your normal search, let's say a Google search, you just use quotation marks. So if I use quotation marks around my phrase, I will search again, and of course we'll get it narrowed down. So we'll now have, sorry if I'm flipping too fast, But now we have 800 results. So it's only results with that phrase.
Do you know if it
yeah.
searches the title and the content of the articles, or
it does? It does to some degree. I mean, if it's, let's say, an attached PDF, it's just not going to get that far down. But it will, like in this case, it's not in the. This is a brief, so it's not in the title. It's somewhere. It does. It's somewhere in this. It's somewhere in this opinion. So, if it's in this format, yeah, it actually goes down into there. So, again, you can see just by putting the quotation marks around it that it will narrow it down. Now, you can also use the and or not term. So let's say I want to look at minority discount and something. So and let's say restricted stock, for example. Well, then I will get, I'm sure, a lot fewer responses. So I get 139. Okay, so we've narrowed it down, and just to those that are relevant to those two, and I'm getting these reports again coming up. Obviously, that played a big part in those reports. Here's an article. There's another article. Here is glossary business valuation returns. Again, it's a laundry list, and you can narrow down the search, which we'll do in a moment.
would you mind showing us an example of not? I really don't use that hardly ever, so it'd be valuable. It'd be valuable for me to see how you go through that process.
Well, I guess I could just do not restricted stuff.
All right.
Pull up all the pre-IPO stuff. So this is any references to the phrase minority discount that does not have the phrase restricted stock in it. Okay. So if that's helpful, I don't, for some reason, I'm probably not as sophisticated as a user as others, so I don't really use that much. Maybe I should be. Here's an article, for instance, talking about it from some individual, a letter to Shannon about that. So again, those are available, and you can again search by article collection, or so for instance, let's say I want to search for minority discount under just BV law, for instance. So we do uncheck all. When you do a search, everything gets checked just by default. So you just uncheck everything. And let's say I want to just find BV law material on minority discount. So I get from the most recent, I get briefs. I get there's the technical advice memorandum. These are articles. How many results did I get? 565 results, again by relevance. But if I want to see, gee, what's the latest on this, I would do it by newest. Okay, here's the court case from December. This is a digest of a case, another case. So we got a lot of case material on that. So.
And Andy, do you generally just start without narrowing it down, and you'd write just minority discount, see how many options you have, or what is your general process for doing a research search in here? I mean,
usually I'll just do it. I'll search for under everything first, and then under newest, because I kind of want to see what the latest stuff is. And then I might, if I see something interesting, I may narrow it down from that. But see, a lot of times, I kind of know what's in there, so I might remember that. Oh, gee, we did this webinar on minority discounts, so I'm just going to search under webinar transcripts, because I just happen to know. Or if I remembered, that I worked on an article, I might just search then under BVU articles. So I may do it that way. Okay, so that's kind of the basic search and kind of narrowing it down a little bit. Another thing you can do is in this content properties, you can search by, let's shut this off. You can search by category. Categories are kind of broad BV related topics. So you can start typing in a topic. I don't know, let's call it it'll suggest them once you start typing. So economic damages. So I can search under the category of economic damages. Get rid of that. And search everything that was categorized as economic damages. So I'm getting cases, I'm getting again by newest. So again, under that category, I pulled up I pulled up 300 results under that category. So you can search under article collections, and then you can search by category. There's all kinds of, you put in discount, it'll suggest a whole bunch of discounts. So there's a DLOM section, discount for minority interest. So just start typing in, you'll get a category. Tags, the same thing. Let's say I want to search for control, or I can find, there's a number of tags related to control. So you could look under control premium, etc. So you can narrow your search that way. You can,
Andy, what is the difference between a category and a tag? Is one a
well,
broader?
yeah, the categories are much more broader. The tags kind of narrow it down a little bit. So I generally will search under the tags if I'm looking for something specific, because it just kind of narrows it down a little more. But again, as you use it more, you'll get more adept at it. You can also search by author, so you could start typing a name in. I don't know, let's take Robert, somebody. So you can pull it up by author, and it would give you, let's see, Bob Kleeman did some things for us recently. By everything, okay. Let's just search under articles that, let's say, he might have done. So we go to articles, and we'll find articles authored by that particular individual. So you can search by author, again, overall, or by article category. You can type by SIC codes, which is essentially in the law category. So under a SIC code, let's say we're looking for restaurants. We'll get I don't think I got it. So this, oh, I think I have to clear this. Sorry. So this will pull up mostly from our law section on anything that was tagged with that SIC code. You can also do it by NICS code. Countries is essentially here in the UK for now. That's kind of all we have. So you can do it by properties. The other section, legal properties, can be searched by case type. If you go down the drop down, you will find various categories of cases, marital from personal injury, ESOP valuations. You can, if you have the case name or citation, you can do that. You can do it by state or jurisdiction, by circuit, by state, by type of court, as you see there. If you have an attorney's name, if you have an expert's name, if you happen to be going up against someone, you could check all their cases. A judge's name, you could pull it up by judge. That's the only one that comes to mind to me now, Judge Laro. So you could, this is all of our coverage of cases that have his name attached to them. And you'd probably go all the way down and find the Mandelbaum case at some point. So that's further searching through legal property. So that's essentially an overview of the search capabilities. And what I should mention in these tags is, since we're now in the COVID-19 era, we've added COVID-19 as a search term, so that if you searched under that, you would find all of our content having to do with the coronavirus, articles, wire pieces. You'll find webinars in there, UK. So 65 results so far on that. So that's kind of a relevant search. I should also mention that you can do a search by time frame. So if you're looking for a legal case or something from a particular date, let's say you wanted to look for anything having to do with the 2008 crash, you could put a start date in here of, let's say, mid 2008 and go as far as you want, and you could pull out stories having to do with, what was going on with valuation practice during the recession. So you could do it by date as well. So that's kind of an overview of the search capabilities. And Michael, I think you had a question on a particular search issue that you were.
I did. One of the searches that frequently come up that there's a lot of ambiguity around, at least I feel that's the case, is around the valuing a 50% interest. And so when I was talking to Andy about preparing for this webinar, I thought there'd be a lot of value in seeing and showing and demonstrating what kind of information that they actually have, because in my mind it was so loosely published on, and yet Andy did a quick search on it and I was very impressed. So I thought that the audience might benefit to see what is available here.
Yeah, well, first of all, the trick sometimes is figuring out the phrase that you need to search for. I think in the beginning I searched under different phrases like equal partnership or 50-50, and I wasn't getting much. So I searched under the phrase 50% interest, but I didn't want to get everything. So I just figured, let's see what kind of articles might there be, or court cases. So let's just look for that. And so what I got, I think I narrowed it. I actually narrowed it down a little more. Court case update. Let's do that. I was able to get, and that's not exactly the one I did.
I guess anecdotally, I can say this actually came up because I got a call from an attorney who is working with a client on the sale of a 50% interest, and the client's CPA said that there should be a discount that of about 40% applied, and so the attorney called me and just to consult with me, and I said, that doesn't sound right to me, at least in my experience, and so I wanted to verify it for myself to see if there's any later, new information, frankly.
Yeah. So okay. So here's the results of the search, and it's under a business valuation update, articles, legal, and some legal materials. So what it's pulling up, and I did it under relevance, obviously. So I'm pulling up court cases, no minority discount for 50% interest in a HUD partnership. Here's one on New York statutory fair value. A blockage premium increases value with 50% interest. This is actually a misnomer. Like if you read this, they use the term blockage premium, which is not really right. What they were really talking about was that a 50% owner can block, as blockage power, can block as veto power. Here's another thing. So there's a bunch of material here, cases and discussion having to do with a 50% interest. So you've got something here. Again, if you did a little more digging, you get some even more material. But I got 117 results on the phrase 50% interest. Again, the most relevant stuff would be up front. And also what I should say is that what's not in here, of course, are any of the authoritative, textbooks on business valuation, the Pratt book, the Trugman book, the Hitchner book, those are not part of this because they're not our imprints. So you wouldn't get the authoritative textbook, interpretation of 50% interest, but you get this material as well. So,
but Andy, that's ultimately where I believe this is so valuable. I think that it's such a complex matter that there isn't any definitive authority on the subject, at least that I found. That's why I appreciate seeing articles and seeing court cases that explain how they arrived at their discounts.
Yeah.
If any applied.
Well, again, as you can see, it's there. I mean, with 19,000 pieces of information, it's going to be in there in some shape or form. Again, the trick was I had to do it about 3 or 4 times before I started getting anything. Again, it's the phrase that you use. So you're going to have to kind of experiment with it, but it is there. So happily, that was helpful on that issue.
Absolutely was. I did this search several months ago, and I certainly wasn't able to find it quite as clearly as you did. So I appreciate your guidance.
Well, again, it was picking around. Again, if you don't get something, I guess you have to think of it as, well, I can kind of think of it easily because I write a lot of this material, so I kind of know, how it might show up, which is kind of the trick. So you're just going to have to experiment with different phrasings when you're doing your search. So that's kind of the trick.
I think it'd be also valuable if we could just do a quick search by NAICS, because as a sole practitioner, obviously I haven't appraised every single different industry that comes across my desk, and it's important for us to get comfortable with that industry. And I find this to be a valuable source for industry-specific valuation, news and techniques.
Yeah.
I just don't have access to the information that I used to.
Yeah. I don't know NAICS codes off the top of my head. So if I just hit a 2 in here, what am I going to get?
Can you search? Do you need the actual code, or can you search by crude oil? Could you have just typed in crude oil?
I don't know. Well, I put in a 2, and I got all of the things of 2. But if you put in I'm not sure. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So if I'm looking for crude, if I put in that term, I'm getting this. So look for something that might have something. How about food? Dog food. How about snack food? Oh, there's a case on the Bachman Company, the pretzel folks. Again, this is going to be mostly tied to our legal material.
Oh, the industry search is primarily tied to legal material. Is that what you're suggesting?
Yes. So what's called specialty food stores. Yes, it's primarily the legal material.
So if we didn't, let's say we didn't want to do a search just within the legal material, would you type into the search function food so that it would bring up all the data?
Yes, you could do that. So in other words, if I was looking for crude oil, you could just do it as a keyword search for everything. Okay. Drilling down. Here's a case on the pipeline company. And again, if you want to just do in the legal area, if you were doing law research, you would just pick that. So this has to do with cases that contain the phrase crude oil. Okay, so that would expand it. If you're looking for a particular industry, Okay. So that's basically the platform. That's what it contains. That's how you do your basic and kind of advanced searches. So, Michael, any other questions that you might have about the platform?
I certainly don't have any questions, but with the exception of who do we go to if we do have questions on this data source?
Well, the first thing to do would be to talk to your sales rep at BVR. There's if you'd like a private demo, a one-on-one demo, just contact your salesperson or contact BVR at the email address on the screen or that phone number. There's also the product page. There's the website for that, which has got some more material on it. So unless, Michael, you have any other questions, we'll kind of wrap it up. We're kind of running a little overtime. So anything else you'd like to add, Michael?
No, I think that this really just takes care of it for me. I suppose I'd just like to add to the listeners, overall, this is truthfully a valuable tool for me as a sole practitioner, as well as when I was part of a big firm and a new analyst. It's a great source for information that I've I value being able to just go to one source for my research information.
Well, terrific. Well, thanks, Michael, for being with us. And I want to thank our listeners for attending.